Hey everybody, Mr. Reeves with you yet one more time, and today we're going to be looking at a bit of review as we prepare for our study of Module 4 on ratios and proportionality. So I am working on page 114 in your textbook. Are you ready? All right, so the first part that they're having us review is division with fractions because we're going to need to be dividing fractions as we work with ratios and proportionality. All right, so just to review, because that's what we're doing when we are dividing with fractions. Remember what we do. We change the division to multiplication, and then we multiply by the reciprocal. All right, so some of you have learned this key KAS. Excuse me. Let me try this again. KSFM sounds like a radio station, right? Where we keep the first one, right? Then we switch the sign. Then we flip the fraction. And then finally we multiply. All right? So keep 3/10. 3/10, that is the same, right? So which division switches to multiplication, and then what do? We flip the fraction, right? We flip the fraction, and then finally we do that multiplication, all right? And remember, when you're multiplying fractions, you can multiply and then simplify. I could go 3 times 8 is 24, and then 10 times 5 is 50, and then try to simplify that way by dividing by, let's see, what goes into both 24 and 50. Well, that would be by 2, right? Divide both by 2, and then I would arrive at 12 over 25. But we usually prefer to simplify first. I could say I have 10 and I have 8, and I can divide both 10 and 8 by 2. 10 divided by 2 is our 5. There's our 5 right there. 8 divided by 2 is our 4. 3 times 4 is 12, and 5 times 5 is 25. Okay, so again, you can multiply and then simplify, but we usually simplify and then multiply, right? So if I was going to do this one right here, I'm going to keep the 3/4 as 3/4. I'm going to switch the division to multiplication. I'm going to flip this fraction over and make it 5 over 4. I'm going to keep 5/9 the same. I'm going to switch the division to multiplication. I'm going to flip this fraction over, and I'm going to get 11 over 10. Same thing here. This one's going to be 3/8 times 2 over 1, and this one is going to be 16 over 21 times 9 over 8. And then again, here we go. Can we simplify? Is there anything in the numerators or denominators that has a common factor? And the answer to this one is no. So for this one, we would get 15 on the top, and I'm going to go ahead and write my answer up here because it's not going to simplify. 15 over 16, right? Down here, let's see. This one will simplify. 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into 10 2 times. All right, so that one is going to turn out to be 1 over 18. Excuse me, 11 over 18. 1 times 11 is 11 over 18. This one right here, 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 8 4 times. So that one is going to turn out to be 3 times 1 on the top and 4 times 1 on the bottom, 3/4. And finally, on this one right here, let's see what we have here. 8 goes into 8 once. 8 goes into 16 twice. Let's see, 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 goes into 21 7 times, and we get 6 over 7. Okay, so that again is how you divide with fractions. All right, what about ordered pairs? Okay, so something else we're going to be doing is we're going to be working on the coordinate plane, and we need to remember how to identify a point on the coordinate plane. So we've been talking a lot about the number line. Remember, as you go to the right, it's positive. As you go to the left, it's negative. Same thing happens on this vertical number line, which we call the y-axis. As you go up, it's positive. As you go down, it's negative, right? We call this quadrant 1. We call this quadrant 2. We call this quadrant 3. And we call this quadrant 4. All right? So everything in quadrant 1 is positive, positive. Everything in quadrant 2 is negative, positive. By the way, I failed to mention we always put the x before the y. All right, so it's over and up or over and down, depending on which way you're going. Everything in quadrant 3 is negative, negative. And everything in quadrant 4 is positive, negative. Again, the x coordinate comes first, and the y coordinate comes second. Okay, so if we look at point A right here, as you can see, they have the blue arrow, right? The blue arrow goes 2 to the right, and then the green arrow goes down 1, 2, 3, 4. So the coordinate for that point is 2, right? 2 and negative 4. All right, so that point right there is over 2 and down 4. That's how we label points, okay? All right, so if we take a look at these ones that we have right here, all right, we have B. So if we follow what they did here, all right, I'm going to go back from 0. By the way, you always start from 0. That's called the origin. And then I go up 1, right? If I was going to go to C, I would go to the right, and then I didn't go up at all, did I, right? If I was going to go to D, well, then D, I would be going over there, and then I would be going up. You see how this works? Again, you always start at the origin. All right, to get to E, I have to go over. It's going to be hard not to overlap these arrows and then go down. All right, you get the idea here. For G, I just go down. I don't go over at all. There is no blue. All right. Did I get them all? What about F? Where's F? Oh, F is right there. I don't go anywhere. Okay, so let's take a look here. Let's start with B. So B, I went, remember, this is negative. This is positive, this is positive, and this is negative, right? So I went back 1, 2, 3, 4, and I went up 1, right? So the point for B would be negative 4, 1. Remember, it's always x, y. It's how much did you go back, left and right, and how much did you go up and down, all right? What about C? Point C, I didn't go, I'm sorry, I'll go over 1, 2, 3, but I didn't go up or down, right? There is no green arrow. Do you see how there is no green arrow? So that is 0. All right, D, I went over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I went up 1, 2, 3, 4. So D is 5, 4. Both were in the positive direction, right? Over 5 and up 4. E, I went back 2, 1, 2, and I went down 2, 1, 2. So when you go back again, it's negative, and when you go down, it's negative. Notice it's in that quadrant 3, negative, negative. All right, F. All right, F is right here. F is at the origin. The origin is 0, 0. We didn't go over or up. There's no arrows to F, so it's at 0, 0. And finally, G. Now notice G, there is no blue arrow. I didn't go over at all. So the first one is 0, but I did go down 1, 2, 3, 4. All right? So that's how you do ordered pairs. All right, so those are two things that they want you to review. So hopefully this will help you as you work through problems very similar to this on your assignment on the Personal Math Trainer. All right, hope this was helpful. Until next time.